Live, welcome aboard, Believe Nation. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Today's been a bonkers day. So Wednesday I use to work on my projects, whatever project I want to work on. Tuesday is all day doing YouTube videos. It's crazy. Thursday is all day doing meetings and interviews and hangouts. I see Ray here in the chat. Let's bring him in. And today is my project day, but we're taking a break day to chat with you guys. I'm going to introduce you to an entrepreneur I think you're going to have a lot of fun with. Here he comes. Bring him in. There he is.
Hey, what's happening?
How you doing, Ray?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
So Ray is a new friend. He's part of the same agency that I'm at with Two Market Media, based out of New York.
Yeah.
And this is our intro call to learn more about him and what he's up to. And he's also got a new book out, right?
I do. Time, Money, Freedom with hangouts, which Two Market Media helped us with.
I don't have my copy yet, but I'm waiting on it. It's going to get here soon.
We will get you one, man.
I know you kind of evolved from network marketing stuff, and now I mean, still a part of what you're doing, but now on a bigger scale, trying to reach and help entrepreneurs. Tell us about time, money, freedom, the idea behind the book. Why now? Yeah. Why a book? Like, take us deeper.
Yeah, for sure. So Time, Money, Freedom, and it's the kind of subtitle here is 10 Simple Rules to Redefine What's Possible and Radically Reshape Your Life. So it's really, my wife and I, we reverse engineered what did we do to do two things. One, to get over some of our past, right? Because both of us have had different challenges in life. I share in the book that I grew up in a very abusive home up until the age of 12, very physically abusive home, most mornings being woken up by being thrown against a closet and stomped. And, a lot of people have experienced that type of thing. So I feel it my duty to share that kind of thing. And two, how we created Time, Money, Freedom. Not that long ago, I was, working for a county government in a cubicle, hated my career, hated my job, hated everything, and just didn't know what I was going to do with my life. But I thought, man, there's got to be more to this. And so what moves did we make? What strategies did we implement? And how did we create Inc. 5000 company, generating millions of dollars online, and becoming best-selling authors, etc. And so we break that down in the book.
Which of the 10 rules is maybe the most surprising, or the one that people don't expect, or the one that people have the biggest reaction to?
Yeah, the one for sure that I've gotten the most feedback on, and it's only been out 4 weeks, so literally I think yesterday was its 4th week. And the one that we've gotten the most feedback on is rule number 2, which is pluck your weeds. And pluck your weeds, some people I think come into that thinking that means get rid of anyone negative in your life. And that may be part of it, but it's a little deeper than that. It's what is in your life that is incongruent with who you actually want to be. And we have some very simple examples, such as I remember my wife, just being exhausted after we had our second child, and she's just exhausted. And I'm like, babe, the kids aren't going to remember who folded their socks, right? And you may hear my 1-year-old right now, but the kids aren't going to remember who folded your socks. Stop thinking that you have to do everything. Like, let's get someone in here so that you can play with them versus be exhausted. And so it could be as simple as that, or it could be a little deeper. One of the things that I share is a story where the two of us were at a charity auction, and a friend of ours comes up and says, "Hey, did you see the Belize trip?" And I'm like, no. And oh my God, it looks amazing. It's on a private island. It's a private chef, private jet, only 5 couples, private yacht. And my wife is like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. Me, I'm like, that sounds like a nightmare. Like I didn't say that because, I didn't say that. I don't want to be the fuddy-duddy, but I didn't say that, but I felt like that sounds absolutely terrible to me. And so on the ride home, I'm like, what the hell's wrong with me? I shouldn't be reacting that way. Like, why? How come she's like jumping for joy and that's exciting to her, and for me it sounded terrible? Well, I wanted to pluck that weed because that's incongruent with who I want to be. I want to be an amazing husband that my wife is excited to be around. And so with some, meditation, with some coaching, with some help, I actually found the source of that weed. The source of that weed was in third grade. I had my teacher who knew that something was off, knew that something was going on. And she actually had me start meeting with a guidance counselor. And it was that guidance counselor that for my first time in my life, I shared some of the things going on at home. It felt nice because I wasn't allowed to have friends. I was never over at anyone's house. I played outside by myself. And I shared these stories of what was going on at home and how, how I was, going through a lot of abuse and how I was treated. And then one day I show up and my dad's there, my stepmom's there, and the guidance counselor proceeds to tell them every story I've ever shared because she thought it was too outrageous. She thought couldn't possibly be true and that I just needed some attention.
Wow, that you were lying.
That I was lying because I just wanted attention. And that was the day that I stopped trusting anybody. And so since then, I've been blessed to be on stages of, 20,000 people in the audience. But if you try to have a personal conversation with me, I'm going to keep you at arm's length. And I didn't know why. I didn't know why would I speak on stage and then rush back to my hotel room? It wasn't because I'm a diva, because I'm not a diva. It's because I was afraid of someone else ever betraying me. And I did experience more of that throughout life, like most people. But that's why I saw that Belize trip as a trap. I would have to talk to humans. I would have to let them in. And, 5 days of that, I don't think I could take it. And so I plucked that weed. So I completely, I wouldn't say, well, probably by 99%, I reduced my social anxiety. And I now know that, hey, I may communicate with someone and they may betray me, but you know what? That's their loss because I'm a pretty good guy. I'm not perfect, but I'm a pretty good guy. And so that really changed my life. That plucking of that weed has completely changed how I show up socially. And we did end up buying that Belize trip.
Nice.
We haven't taken it because of COVID, but we did buy it.
The book is Time, Money, Freedom. There's a little picture of it behind Ray there on the wall, and he's got it holding up there. And Anita put it in the chat, so I pinned that there so you guys can check that out as well. How do you prevent that weed from coming back?
Well, if you really it depends on what the weed is, but on something like that, it's understanding why it existed. So I now understand if I feel social anxiety, I know that there's only one reason for that. And that's because I've been betrayed in the past. And guess what? I may still be betrayed, but that would be their loss. And what's the worst that could happen? That's not something that I need to have me showing up smaller than I need to be or have me showing up. I was 100% of the time always the guy that would nudge my wife and say, ready to go. Like I wanted to leave the party early. I wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. Now I don't do that, now, and she is, social butterfly. She loves being, at parties and social and things like that. And so, it's just recognizing why, what is that problem? Now, a lot of weeds aren't that complex. One weed that we plucked was we built a house, beautiful, amazing house. But we didn't realize that there were really no kids there. And we have a 5-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son. And then we got our daughter in a school that was 45 minutes one way away from us. And it was really a pain. Not only is she not playing with any neighborhood kids because there are none, but two, we're driving, if there's traffic, it might be an hour, to get to her school one way. And so we sold the house. We moved. It's now 5 minutes away. And so some people will just live with a settling or live with something in their life that isn't exactly what they want, but they just kind of settle and they just kind of put up with it. And we just say, don't do that. Look at what is in your life that's incongruent with how you want to show up, how you want to live, and pluck that weed, get rid of it, change it, alter it, hire someone to do it if it's a work kind of thing that you don't like.
Yeah, and what I like about it is it's not cutting the weed because then the weed grows back. You're trying to pluck it so it never grows back again.
Right. Right. Very good.
And so something like that, I guess, is easy enough with like the house, and sure, there's logistics and financials and whatever. But I'm wondering about the deep-seated emotional ones where, that one with you and the guidance counselor was, decades old.
Yes.
And decades of running that story and that pattern. And
yes.
So there's the logical of like, oh my gosh, that's why I was doing it. You may not even have noticed, but then through the meditation and the work, you found it. There's one thing of knowing it and taking some kind of action around it and getting the Belize trip, but you've been running for decades on this subconscious pattern.
Yes.
How do you kind of stay in the conscious and not the subconscious, or how do you put it into the subconscious that now the next time this comes up, you don't default back to the old habit? Because I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs, they do. Like they read my book or they read your book, and they're in the zone like, oh my God, that's exactly it. Yes, I realized how I didn't have time, money, freedom, and now I can get it. And then they fall back to the same patterns that they were, right? So how do you actually pluck it? Or maybe in your case or somebody else's case, is it just trying to do a little bit better every day? Do you think like there's just one moment and then it's gone?
No. It's almost always, for something deep like that, it's almost always going to involve someone outside of you. There's an organization and there's an individual that really helped me with this. One of the major programs that I had in my life, Landmark Forum helped me with. And, I went to Landmark Forum in 2009. And at the time, I'm dead broke, personal foreclosure, $1 million in debt, chased by bill collectors, had just gone through a divorce. Life was not fantastic. And what I learned there, I went there because I was hoping it would help me make money. That was my sole focus. I need to make money, right? And what I got out of it was that I hadn't talked to my dad in 13 years. He had never met my sons, which I have two older sons. At the time, they were 10 and 11, I think. And he had never met them. I hadn't talked to him in 13 years. And I had repair relationship with dad on a to-do list with no priority. And so on day 2 of Landmark Forum, I reached out to him. And then a few months later, I went up there, and we don't have a perfect relationship. It's not like we go fishing every weekend or something like that. But there was something about reconnecting, releasing, getting rid of the anger, the resentment, some shame, I guess, and getting rid of some of that created a clearing in my life. And so, I came back to Florida because he lives up in Indiana. I came back to Florida, and in 2 weeks, I joined an opportunity that I went on to make millions of dollars with. And so, a lot of times we're seeking strategy. We're seeking that, what's that greatest hashtag? What's that script? What's that new TikTok move that's just going to burst me through? In reality, you need to release some stuff. And so, I've been sharing that story for 10 years. And I have hundreds of emails, messages, letters of people that have heard that reconnected with their dad or their mom or their sister, brother, aunt, uncle, whatever. And so a lot of times it's releasing some of that stuff. But I had help, so Landmark helped me with my programming, which my programming is a very simple statement. It's I'll show you. And so my careers have gone like this, right? And what I needed was I actually sought doubt. So if someone doubted me and said, you can't deep sea fish, I'll show you, right? And I'll become the best damn deep sea fisher on the planet. But the problem is I required doubt. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I reached a level where fewer people were doubting me, I'd look around and be like, oh, y'all think I can do it now, huh? Well, this is boring. Let me go to something else. Oh, you don't think I can do this? And so that was my career on autopilot without realization that Landmark helped me with. As far as the trust issue, a gentleman named, he's amazing coach, Elliot Rowe. I don't know if you know Elliot, but Elliot coaches several of the top, it's interesting, several of the top poker players in the world and several of the top MMA fighters in the world, and me. And so he's an amazing individual. He helped me. And one interesting part of his coaching is he is a hypnotist. And at one point, he took me back to my younger, battered self, my 7-8-year-old self. And he had me tell my younger self, hey, life's going to be okay, man. You're going to grow up to have an amazing family, make millions of dollars, impact people all over the world, raise over $500,000 for charity. You're going to do some amazing things. And I remember when he first took me through that exercise, my younger self didn't believe it. And what that actually meant was I didn't believe it.
Right.
So I would say things like, man, it's unbelievable that I married. My wife is amazing. It's unbelievable that I actually didn't believe reality. I was thinking that there's this thing that's playing out like a movie, but I'm just an actor. All of this could go away. And so he actually helped me connect that my actual reality, and also realize that that trust issue came from that guidance counselor, which I actually didn't even remember. I didn't remember that. He actually had me remember that. And then I really did remember it, because your subconscious wants to block any pain and wants to block out any kind of you digging into it. There's a doctor out there, Dr. John Sarno, who passed away, but he talks about how your body will manifest pain to prevent you from having the tough psychological conversations with yourself of doing that work. And so it's just wild, what the body will do to prevent you from having that emotional pain.
What did you change your operating system to? So if it used to be, I'll show you, and that served you in a lot of contexts, but then obviously didn't serve you in others, what did you switch I'll show you to?
You can't switch it.
You can't switch it.
You can't switch it, but you can be aware of it.
Okay.
So before, I'm not aware. So before, and here's evidence. So in 1999, I think, I had a buddy. I go to my friend who's really smart at computers, and I said, you know what? I don't know anything about computers. I should probably learn computers. And he's like, sure, I'll show you. And he's like, all right, left click, because it was a mouse. And I'm like, what do you left click? I'm like, I'm looking for that left click button. That's how, I'm just like, I don't know computers. And he says, oh my God, you can never do computers. And so the next 7 years, I spend racing my way up the IT career industry. I go to Redmond, Washington. I get accepted as a SQL Server database administrator for Microsoft. That's how lunatic my auto programming was. And at the end of the day, about 7 years in, I'm like, I really don't even like computers. And so that's, your programming, and there's all kinds of different programs. And again, this isn't mine. I learned from Landmark. But some people are, you don't love me. That's a very tough relationship to be with, because whatever you do, the person in their program is, you don't actually love me, because of something that happened with an authority figure or a parent or a loved one, of course. And so you can become aware of the program, and I can see it flare. So if someone doubts me, I now have an option of, do I do that thing or not? Right? Before it wasn't an option. Oh, you doubt me? I must do that thing. And so you could just easily just press my button, right? And I would react on autopilot. Now I'm aware of that button. So, I still have the flair of, I'll show you, but I can say, is that appropriate in this case? Do I need to show them? Does it even matter? Where I didn't have that before.
Wow. So if we go back to the concept of, plucking your weeds, rule number 2 from Time, Money, Freedom, go check it out, guys. Check out the book. How do you identify kind of what you can pluck and what you can't, right? So if you can't change it, then it can't be plucked, but we can adjust around it, and I can recognize it so I can make better decisions and be more conscious of my programming.
Sure.
How do I determine, oh, that's something that I can just pluck out and it never comes back, versus, no, this is who I am and I just need to be aware of it and leverage it?
A lot of it has to do with your reaction. You can alter, and you can improve your reaction to things. And so, the reaction to the programming, right? My Landmark calls it the act, right? So I can change my reaction to my act showing up. I'll show you, right? I can change my reaction. Do I want to? Do I not? Does it make sense? You can, and that's the key. So I've had, not going to mention any, but I've had family members that triggered me, right? They just graded me wrong, or they just, I probably can't get rid of them, right? I can't just stop seeing, someone significant in the family, but I can change my reaction to it. And I find that this is really common with entrepreneurs, because a lot of times we start off with a dream that no one agrees with, no one approves of, no one accepts. I mean, I was at a pretty decent paying salary in the corporate world, and threw away that career, according to everyone else, right? I threw away a 7-year career to go into something totally different and become an entrepreneur. And people said, well, what about benefits? Well, you're an idiot. Well, that'll never work. Well, you'll be back. I mean, I had very close people tell me that. And if I required acceptance, approval, and agreement, I wouldn't be here. I never would have made that leap. I never would have jumped. And so, you can change your reaction. So instead of me trying to convince people of, no, it's going to work, I can just say, you know what? I hear you. I know you're doing this out of my safety and you're concerned for me. And I really appreciate that. And I don't have to be reactive. I don't have to defend myself or try to convince them. So a lot of times it's how are you reacting? And, I think a very needed one, like the example of my wife, is a lot of moms, they think that they have to be super mom because their mom was super mom. And at the end of the day, kids aren't going to remember who folded their socks, who did the dishes, who did the laundry. They're not going to remember that. They'll remember who showed up to their games. They'll remember who cheered for them, in cheerleading practice. They'll remember that stuff. And so, what are you doing that maybe you don't need to do, or maybe you can alter?
Why now? Like, time, money, freedom. Why the book? Why now? Why'd you write it? Tell us.
Well, we wrote this before the pandemic, and but it's just perfect timing. We talk a lot because we built our business from home, and so a lot of people are looking for one. A lot of people found out how financially fragile they are this year, and so they found out 10 months ago there was a lot of people that had their career plan laid out. They were going to work their way up the restaurant, work their way up the hotel or the airline industry or whatever. And now it's like, oh my God, what's going on? And what do I do here? And so I think that we didn't, plan this, but there's a lot of people that are in a transition period that realize how financially fragile they were, and that they need to find some kind of way to improve their finances, but they don't know how. And so this, and just to answer the question of who is this for, this book is for anyone that wants to improve their finances and or relationships. And that includes the relationship with themselves, because one of the core concepts is that you can create a great life despite a bad past. And our rule, which I think, because I love your stuff, rule number 10 is make an impact. That's the final rule. And I'll share with you one, real quick story. We did our reality show, and we've done 2 seasons of it. In season 1, there was a woman on there, Renee Adams, and Renee had never shared her story before, ever, to anybody. And on our show, the kind of the magic of the show, she shared her story with us, which is a really tough one. It's one of physical abuse, sexual abuse, and even human trafficking. And so something you don't wish on, anybody, obviously. And, after loving on her and telling her she didn't deserve any of that, I shared with her, listen, you could be inspiring a lot of people. You're a survivor. You came through that. You're a great person. People love being around you. And within 2 weeks, even though she'd never presented, and I don't think she'd ever even done a video, she was speaking at a women's abuse center. 2 months ago, she actually shared her story at the 17th Annual International Convention Against Human Trafficking, University of Toledo. 19 countries tuned in to hear her story. Wow. And so that's making an impact. That is inspiring. And you can create an inspiration out of the things that you came through. And so I know that, some people that maybe they went through the, similar types of abuses that, that I did, or maybe they've had financial hardships like I have. That this could inspire them and give them some hope. And that's really what makes me feel significant and makes me feel good. And it happens to help some people. So it's a win-win.
I love it. Well, the book is Time, Money, Freedom, 10 Rules for Success. I love 10 rules. So I'm excited to get my copy and dive in and see. People want to pick up the book. or check out you and more information, where do you want them to go, man?
Yeah, so the book is at tmfbook.com for Time, Money, Freedom, tmfbook.com. And, as far as where you can find me, you can really search Ray Higdon on any social media and you'll find me. I've done at least one video a day every day for 11 years, so I'm a little bit of a lunatic, never missed a day. And yes, it is on Strong, Curvy, and Fit. It is on Audible as well.
I love it. Well, thank you, man. Thank you for the time. Congrats on the book.
Man.
Can't wait to get my hands on a copy and appreciate you spreading your message.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on here. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Bye.